You're listening to the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS podcast with hosts Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Better Baseball MLB DFS Playbook live stream. We are here for 8 games on a Wednesday, breaking it all down for you here. We had a little day baseball action earlier today as well. If you partook, hopefully you had some nice lineups going on there and you can carry over that success here into this 8-game main slate. James, my guy, you did the playbook today. How are you feeling about everything?
Feeling pretty good. I think there's a nice mixture of everything here. We got good pitching. We have some decent value. We have some good bats on the slate. We have some good stacks. There's weather, John. There's wind in specific place that usually wind matters quite a bit. We've seen a game total in that game soar through the clouds like a pelican. That was the first bird that came to my mind. I don't know.
They can fly. I don't even know. They do.
I don't know. I mean, whatever. Zion does, and Brandon Ingram, they fly. But it's a good.
Peacocks don't fly, right? That's what it is. Peacocks?
Yeah, I don't think peacocks fly. No. But yeah, solid 8-game slate, and we got Coors out of the way early. Christian Walker. I realized if Christian Walker was a Colorado Rocky, he would be Aaron Judge, but he would also have the asterisk that he played in Coors.
Sure,
he's hit a home run for 7 straight days.
Yeah, lefty on the mound. So
True.
I wish he was Corbin Carroll because he's not. Because Corbin Carroll didn't even play today. I think he had 2 hits the entire series.
Yeah,
big sad.
Yeah,
big sad there. So, you mentioned it though. Weather-wise here, some wind blowing out in Chicago, the White Sox and Cubs game, and then wind blowing out in Seattle, Kansas City. So, definitely some news and things to watch when it comes to that.
Yeah, and there's nothing more other than Coors when weather is on the forefront. When there's wind, no other stadium other than Wrigley it impacts more. I mean,
right.
Kevin Roth over at RotoGrinders said it's going to be 10 miles an hour early, and as the game goes on, the wind is going to pick up. So, not going to be not going to be easy for starters, and it's definitely not going to be easy for bullpen arms once those starters are out. So, should be a fun slate, should be a fun game. And just to piggyback off that, John, I don't know if you have the graphic, but 12 implied that total, or not 12, is now at 11. Opened at 10.5, but now 11 in almost every sports book. So,
we'll just share to the screen today. We'll just do that today.
Down at the covers.
Go over to covers. Yeah, I'll just share to the screen. Since I had some things going on today, so we got the spreads over here showing up over at covers. Break it all down for everybody.
Yeah, so again, 11 implied runs there in the Chicago Bowl. Luis Robert, I don't know if you saw, shushed the crowd last night after his go-ahead home run. And they slow-mo to a Cubs fan flipping him off while he was doing it. So I thought that made it
nice,
much more sweet, rather. But that's the only significant game. The Yankees-Braves game dropped half a run from open. I guess on DraftKings it's still at 10, but heavy lean on the under there. Sure. LA, Texas is 9, pretty much even money. 9 implied runs in the Seattle KC game. I'm a little surprised that's not higher than 9, but that's Vegas giving respect to Luis Castillo that maybe he does or doesn't deserve depending on the day, right?
The wind's out. He's been giving up home runs at times, so we'll see.
Yeah, but that's the only notable, at least on the over-under front.
Yeah, for sure. Before we get into obviously breaking down today's DFS slate, got to shout out to our friends over at Real Time Fantasy Sports. Go to rdsports.com/alarm, promo code alarm23. New users will get a 100% deposit match up to $200 there. And of course, you go check out our Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel. I gave up 2 picks today for the BMW Championship. The FedEx Championship PGA playoff tournament rolls on. 2 more events this week and then next week, and the PGA season is over. So I gave you 2 plays for the PGA BMW championship. You can check all of that out there right now on our YouTube. But let's take a look at tonight's slate of games from DFS Pick and Plays over at Real Time Fantasy Sports. All right, breaking down today's board here, James. Where do you want to kick things off, my friend?
Let's go to Boston, and we're gonna go to Trevor Story, more than 1.5 total bases. John, I did some digging on Trevor Story today, and yes, it's buffered because he played so many years in Colorado.
Sure.
But against left-handed pitching for his career, and I put this in the MLB DFS playbook over on FantasyAlarm.com. 305, 378, 612 career slash against lefties, 307 ISO, 411 WOBA for his career against left-handed pitching. He has been dominant against lefties. Mackenzie Gore, we know, is coming into the start struggling mightily. Righties have a 199 ISO allowed or against him this year, 327 WOBA. Over the last 30 days, 272 ISO, 355 WOBA allowed. So I like Trevor Story more than 1.5 total bases.
Yeah, I like that here tonight. That's a pretty good one for sure, given the matchup that he's got going there against Washington. For me, we're going to go and head on over to that matchup that we were discussing earlier with the Wind, Kansas City, Seattle. I am going to just keep riding the fact that I think Kansas City's going to score some runs here. So we're going to go with leadoff hitter Michael Garcia, more than half a run scored here this evening.
Off the board. Off the board.
He's not on your board?
Nope.
Oh, he's showing on my board. Unbelievable. All right, we'll pivot. We'll go Bobby Witt 5 fantasy points then.
Bobby Witt's at 8 fantasy points.
You're right. 8 fantasy points. Bobby Witt 8 fantasy points.
8, 5. I mean, look, the 8 has most of the features of a 5.
I saw the half for the total runs on a Cal Rally. It threw me off quickly when I looked at it. Because you threw me off. I have Michael Garcia over the half a run. So that's an unfortunate edit there on the update side.
They saw your plays, John.
They did. They knew where I wanted to go. All right, so Bobby Witt more than the 8 fantasy score then tonight. We'll roll that. He can do it with his speed. He can do it with his bat. He's been unbelievable here. We'll keep it rolling. Those are 2 picks. You got anything else you want for us here tonight?
Yeah, I would say in the same game, go Julio. It's J-Rod season over or more than 8.5 fantasy points would be my other.
Okay. Hard to fight that one off for sure. If you want to go 4, let's go 4. Let's go 4.
Okay.
Give me Mookie Betts more than 1.5 total bags.
Does Mookie Betts hit lefties well or something?
Supposedly. In theory, by numbers, he does. So there's a chance to 10x your money over at Real Time Fantasy Sports here today. Again, new users who sign up can get a 100% deposit match up to $200. Scan the QR code there and get after it tonight over at rtsports.com. Let's change focus now over to the DraftKings main slate here. James, we'll kick it off. We got some people rolling into chat right now. If you are new to the stream, welcome. Give us a little like and follow to the YouTube channel here, and we appreciate you all tuning in. We know we got Mark. We see Tyrell in the chat here as well. Tyler, what's going on, man? So, all right. 8 games on the board. We talked about weather. We talked about spreads. Let's talk about pitching. Gossman, Snell, top 2 guys up over 10K here. We discussed earlier today, Vegas loving themselves some Blake Snell here.
Yeah, and it's not just Vegas. It's ownership, it's projections, it's Vegas. Everywhere you look, Blake Snell is sticking out like a sore thumb. He has the best earned run odds, Vegas. He has the second best win equity odds, barely plus money there. He has the best strikeout odds on the main slate, better than Gossman, better than Castillo, better than Paxton. He is number 1, and he has basically 14% more rostership coming his way than anybody else, nearly 40%. And I get it. Like, he does have massive upside, and we've said it for a long time. He's pitched as well as he has maybe since probably better than his Cy Young season sans the walks, because the walks have obviously been on full display, especially lately. We had a 7-walk game not too long ago on Blake Snell's ledger, but Yeah, I mean, Baltimore's definitely struggling a little bit. They're in the bottom half of the league against left-handed pitching since the All-Star break. It was obviously things were going a lot smoother pre-All-Star break for them. I'm okay getting to Snell. I'm also okay if you want to just play a lesser owned Kevin Gossman, who
Sure.
probably has equal upside. Vegas liked Kevin Gossman as well. He's looked really good. We just saw last night, you know, Philly's better stats are against lefties, and Kikuchi basically blanked them.
Yeah.
And now you're taking Kevin Gossman against a team in, the bottom half of the league against right-handed pitching. So, you know, Gossman is a guy who has 183 strikeouts and 139 innings. Philly has a 24.1% striker rate since the break
Mm-hmm.
against righties. That's the 10th highest. Like, this could be a ceiling strikeout game for Gossman. So I like both guys over 10K. If you're gonna give me Gossman for nearly half the ownership than Snell, I'll probably gravitate towards him more.
Yeah.
It's in theory, is it a tougher matchup? Probably for Gossman, but I think he's been more reliable. At
Sure.
least like getting deeper into games. We know Blake Snell is, more. And that's another thing. The Blake Snell outs, I didn't even mention.
Yeah.
Big favorite to go over 17 and a half outs, which is getting through 6 innings. He's only done that twice in 7 starts. So, I like both guys. I lean Gossman at low ownership, but I have no problem getting to either.
Sure. What's the exposure to Luis Castillo tonight?
What do you think? I mean, Luis Castillo he's rostered every slate, right? Like there's never not a slate.
He's been like the highest rostered pitcher.
Yeah.
You're saying Blake Snell's that guy tonight. So are people double spending, or is Castillo sitting in like a 15% range?
He's 20%, 21%. So I think most of the field is using John Gray, and we'll get to him at 6,900. Nice as their SP2. And I think just going Snell, Gossman, Castillo, and some people are getting to Paxton. There's some Kershaw love. There's some Nola love. But yeah, Castillo's getting about 21%. He's the 4th highest rostered pitcher. At this point, it's like he's going to win you a tournament or he's going to lose you a tournament, and there's probably nothing in between, right? Yeah. Like he's been
far better than bad lately, but there was also this stretch where he was horrible. So, yeah, I think it's interesting because we've seen Kansas City just keep putting runs on the board.
They do.
Of late. Mark wants to know if Charlie Morton's going to throw like an adult tonight. I'm not quite sure what that means, but he does have a matchup at home against the Yankees. Do we like Charlie Morton here tonight?
My assumption is it has to do with the 7 walks that he threw last game. I think that probably factors in a little bit. I mean, I like the spot. He walks everyone. He made the playbook, and I like the price point on Charlie Morton. Obviously, the matchup is super appealing as well. I mean, when you look at the Yankees' numbers since the break, just against right-hand pitching, and I've said this to you a lot on the stream, they've been good against lefties. Like, they got to Fried early the other day, and now Fried shut him down the rest of the game, but they did get to him early. They hammered Jesus Luzardo the other day, got him out in the 3rd inning. Against righties, they're not that team. 24th in WOBA, 27th in OPS, 25% strikeout rate. They have a solid walk rate, and that's a little concerning. But if the walks are coming like to Aaron Judge, that's fine, because then Aaron Judge can't beat you, and no one else is really beating any pitching on the for the Yankees. So yeah, I like Charlie Morton tonight. He's actually kind of low owned too, which I kind of like. 20. He's, let's see, in terms of rostership, he's about the 9th.
Sure.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 9th highest rostered pitcher tonight on a slate with 16 starters. So, yeah, I could on Charlie Morton.
Okay, and then you mentioned everybody's in on Gray tonight, huh? $6,900 coming off of a really great start against San Francisco. Gets the Angels here this evening. To me, that feels a little scary. So, the power that Angels lineup brings to the table, and people jumping on Gray here after really just like one good start after a long stretch of bat.
It's the I think it's the sudden shift back to being able to miss bats, right? 7 strikeouts his last 3 starts. And then you look at the Angels, John. We've talked about it almost every slate. Like, yeah, the Angels are pretty potent, but damn, do they strike out a lot. 27.9% strikeout rate against right-handed pitching. And since the break against righties, they're 20th in WOBA. So it's not like they are, yes, they have power. Clearly. I mean, their ninth hitter has been Randall Grishik, who's
Right.
notoriously been good in the power
20
department,
homer guy,
right?
you
So,
know,
yeah. So I it's a price point thing. It's the strikeout upside thing. And it is encouraging to see Gray, at least in his last few starts, start to trend back in the right direction.
Okay. Is there any other value that you'd put on your card tonight? You talked a little Dan Creamer yesterday. We saw obviously Grayson Rodriguez shut them down. Is it just a match?
Flaherty did not. And Flaherty did not.
Oh.
Yeah, and Flaherty did not. I'm a little indifferent. And now the Padres don't have a lot of lefties, and I'm aware of that. They don't. But Creamer is really bad, specifically against lefties, and I'm seeing if we don't have a official Padres lineup, but I love Soto today. He's in my playbook. I really like Cronenworth today. He's in my write-up. And you just look at, or he's in the core plays. They recently signed it. I don't know if you saw this, Ben Gamble, who had 2 RBIs yesterday. So I expect them to have very minimal lefties. That's kind of been their issue all year. But
Sure.
Soto is on fire, or Soto had been on fire. Recent stretch, not so much. But he's really good against righties this year. And Cronenworth has been really, really good lately. That's scary. But if they're the only 2 that I'm really worrying about, I could see myself getting to Creamer in a good pitcher's park. I do just really like Soto. So I'm a little indifferent about Creamer. I would say the only other name, I'm okay getting to Kershaw. I expect 80 pitches out of Kershaw tonight. And, we know how efficient he can be. Milwaukee, I'll give Milwaukee credit. They've been better against left-handed pitching since the break, but overall, they're still a bad offense against lefties for the entire season. And it is hard to ignore James Paxton at 8,200 because we've been paying near
tonight.
Yeah, and we've been paying $10K, and it's been okay for James Paxton. So those would be the only other. In terms of value, though, no. The field, let me ask you about this.
Sure.
And this is a us versus the field thing, or at least me versus the field, because a lot of the field's getting to Mackenzie Gore. And we
not for me.
Right.
I wouldn't do that.
No, and neither am I. And I understand that Boston has a decently high striker rate against left-handed pitching since the break. But Adam Duvall is waking up. They've added Trevor Story. Pablo Reyes, you keep talking, and you dream about Pablo Reyes. You go to bed with Pablo Reyes' picture on your set. No, I agree.
What am I supposed to do here?
Fully agree. Fully agree. 2 hits again yesterday. I fully agree. I'm not saying, I'm just it's definitely a relative, you look at their numbers, Refsnyder 400 WOBA, Turner 400 WOBA, Devers 370, Trevor Story notoriously good against lefties.
Story definitely changes the lineup for Boston because they really struggled with being so lefty heavy. That now the fact that you can add Story into this lineup really just makes them that much more difficult against lefties for sure.
And Pablo Reyes, to be fair, 427 WOBA, right? I mean,
it's not Christian Arroyo and Yu Chang anymore.
Yeah. So and I've already touched on him. Mackenzie Gore's numbers lately have not been good at all. He just is coming off 6 earned and 3 home runs against a lineup that is good against lefties, kind of like this Boston lineup. So I think we're both out on the Mackenzie Gore thing. And to Mark's question, are people using Nola? Not a lot, 14%. And
I said on the show this morning, I feel like I may play Toronto bats tonight. I don't know if there's line of exposure to them this evening. Usually there never is. So, in knowing how up and down Nola has been this year, I'm willing to kind of throw a lineup in there with Toronto and see if somebody can finally wake up. Like, it's literally been a down year for almost everybody in their lineup except for Whit Merrifield, which is wild to think about. But I'd be willing to. They scored 20 runs, and then they were like, you know what? Those 20 runs, we can
carry it
spread
over
across the next couple of games, can't we? It's like, no, that's not how it works. This isn't like a roto league where your runs count towards your standings. It just doesn't work that way. So we got a bunch of more people rolling into chat here. So welcome in. If you have any questions, throw them in. Don't be afraid that we're looking at the DraftKings slate. If you're playing on FanDuel, like I know our guy, the Prince is, who's in chat right now, throw us a FanDuel question. We'll go ahead. We'll pull up the slate. We'll take it down. We'll take a look and give you some advice on that here this evening. If you're new, please give us a like and sub. That's great. We got a lot of shows all across the platform, all sports, getting you guys ready to go for whatever sports you guys are looking to play. So Ryan wants to know, is it Cubs season here? White Sox pitching tonight. Clevenger, we talked about wind blowing out in Chicago here tonight. So this could be a game stack worthy matchup. You have Assad, a little bit pitching well, but not a strikeout guy against Clevenger. Cubs, White Sox here.
Hey, you might have to go over to FantasyAlarm.com and see who the cover of the playbook is today, because you may have your answer right away.
Cody Bellinger.
Cody Bellinger. Yeah.
Right.
So
I didn't even know. Look, I just assumed. So
it's Cody Bellinger.
Makes sense. I'm in. Yeah, Ryan, we'll play some Cubbies today for sure. Again, I'm a big 3 lineup max guy. Play those contests, so I try to get some exposure across the board here. Let's run over and take a look at the catcher position if you're ready to move. Yep. Got anybody else a pitcher? Mm-hmm. We got a lineup here for the Padres. Anything standing out? Ben Gamble DHing, hitting 8th. I didn't even know that guy was in baseball still, but
yeah,
there's that.
I just told you that.
I know.
They signed him yesterday. He had 2 ribbies yesterday.
They're just trying to put some lefties in that lineup, huh? So, all right,
4 lefties. Catcher
spot. Will Smith, we know against lefties is stellar, but he is obviously the most expensive player here. I'll keep giving shots at Cal Raleigh. I know he hasn't paid them off yet, but there was also that stretch last week where he had 2 homers in back-to-back games. The wind's blowing out against MacArthur or Marsh tonight. Like, the big dumper, I think they call him. Like, I'll give Cal Raleigh a shot here to do some damage at the top price tier. Did Garver go on the IL today? Did I see that? Garver go on the injured list? Or am I making that up?
No, you're making that up.
Well, I'll play Rangers.
No, Tom Murphy went on the IL.
That's what it was. Okay.
Also, you were talking Cal Raleigh started
That's what it
tingling
was.
your brain a little bit.
That's what it was. Okay. So like Cal Raleigh, Tom Murphy not in the lineup. Garver against Detmers here is pretty good at 36.
Yeah, I wish. So he's hitting 5th too, which is amazing. Love that. I had him and Jonah Heim in the core plays for catcher. I'm looking at the Rangers lineup right now. Who is not in the Rangers lineup? Adolis, Nathaniel Lowe, Garver, Duran. Duran's hitting 6th. Yeah. Also, we'll get to this. Great. Yeah. Someone's not in this lineup. I'll figure it out. Maybe it's just Jonah Heim. It has to just be Jonah Heim.
Simeon, Seager, Adolis. Yeah, it's just Heim. They
right? In. Just Heim? Okay.
Yeah, because they have probably was Adolis playing DH tonight. Do they have
Grossman's DH?
Okay, so that's what it is. That's all it is. Okay. Because they got a whole bunch of lefties in there, which doesn't make much sense unless Detmers is getting.
He's getting lit up by lefties. Yep. Both split. He's getting lit up.
I guess Grossman's a switch hitter, so he'll hit righty. But Seager, Lowe, and Janikowski all going to hit lefty there. So.
Both splits.
Something to peek at. All right, other catchers that you're in on. Again, I like Garver. I like Cal Raleigh here tonight. Anybody else for you?
I mean, not really. Only other shout I'd give is Connor Wong, and that's really actually my catcher.
Okay.
And I'm not spending up tonight. Don't feel the need to spend up tonight because I think there's a lot of other priorities than
I would agree with you. Ryan in here giving us the shout out for the Seager one-off. Yeah, listen, we said on the show, no one's playing the Rangers. I had Seager in all of my lineups except one, unfortunately. I pivoted to Adolis just to get like that one-off Rangers play in that lineup. Seager was in 2 of the 3, though. Absolute 4% double dong bomb really helped put those lineups over the edge there. Pairing him up in lineups with like Acuna was great, so there was enough value to make it all work last night. So let's see what we can do here this evening. Other positions, first base. You can always play Ohtani, you can always play Olsen, you can always play Freeman, but as you mentioned, you have Bellinger on the cover. Now he has multi-position eligibility. Are you playing Bellinger in the outfield, or are you playing him over Ohtani, Olsen grouping?
I would say just depending on the lineup construction. Like if I'm playing Cub stacks, like I don't really want to play him in the outfield because I don't want three. I like Ian Happ, I like Talkman, I like the lefties more than I like the righties for Chicago, so I'd probably use him at first. If I'm playing him as a one-off, I'd probably get him in the outfield because I think, I'm okay getting to any of those guys above him. Obviously, like Olsen is a play every day. Otani's in play as a one-off every day. So yeah, it just depends on your lineup construction. If I'm stacking Cubs, I probably have him at first.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind that. Again, I think you can always. We're not going to discriminate against Olsen, Freeman, Belling. They're all just really great spots for them. Mid-tier guys. We talked about Nathaniel Lowe and Denver's overall struggles. I think he could go low. He was the guy that hit lefties last year. If you wanted to go in that direction here, if you're going anti-Snell against the chalk, Mountcastle smoking lefties still at $3,800. If you're not in on Nola, Brendan Belt hitting second, I think is pretty interesting. And then to mention Moustakas here against Gray. Gray really only has one good start lately, and Moustakas has a lot of power at 3,200.
I'll just throw a couple guys in there as well. Jake Cronenworth, I mentioned. I like the Padres lefties tonight. 320 average over his last 10. He's been really good against right-handed pitching. And I love Ty France tonight at 3,300. Ty France 4 for 6 last night, 333 over his last 10. He's hitting 330 since the break or since the start of August. And the pitching for Kansas City is in trouble tonight. MacArthur is absolutely brutal. He has a 6 earned run outing in 1 inning this year already. And then you look at Alec Marsh coming in the game afterwards. Alec Marsh has been hit by righties. He's been hit by lefties. It really hasn't mattered the split. So Ty France hitting third at 3,300. The Mariners actually have one of the best implied team.
I was going to say, if you game stack this one, look at the 2 games in this series, 13 runs and 18 runs. Like this is a game stack where most of these guys are fairly inexpensive to get in your lineup outside of like the top 2 players in each team. You spend up for Julio, you spend up for Bobby Witt, and everybody else is free 99. So it's all about whether or not you trust Castillo. Obviously, you'd have to go bank on him against Kansas City. But the Seattle side of this, you and I were chatting about it. You're like, Seattle just homered. They just hit another home run. They just homered again. And we're like, damn, all these Seattle home runs, and nobody played Seattle Mariners last night. So, a lot of value there.
Different tonight. Different story tonight.
I'm not shocked.
They're going to be, it's the 2 Chicago teams, and Seattle is the highest owned.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, let's move on over to second base then here. Again, Mookie Betts, so it is 400 ISO against lefties, right there at $6,200. Simeon was part of the nobody played me stack last night. 2% for Simeon last night. Had a triple, had some good production, 5,800 for him. Horner's at 51. And then you have the Red Sox plays. Turner, good against lefties at 46. Story of shortstop eligibility. You'll probably play him over there at 45 if you wanted to as well in the mid-tier.
Yeah, it's really hard not to like both of them. And they're obviously the correlation of this stack is perfect. Like the Red Sox, if you wanted to go full stack, like 1 through 5, works so well. If you even just wanted to go 1 through 4, Ref Snyder, Turner, Devers, Story, like works perfectly. They all have monster numbers against lefties this year. So weird to see Justin Turner. I know you commented on the podcast.
Yeah.
Second base.
Yeah, I know.
What are we doing?
It's annoying because both Reyes and Story are second base shortstop. And then Turner's second base only. So you can't play Turner and all 3 of them. So
on FanDuel, you cannot. FanDuel, he's first and third. Yeah. Like, it's like, dude, can we please figure it out? Like,
to be fair, he's played more games at second base than he's played anywhere else lately. So, like, he probably is a true second baseman, but help us out. Throw us a bone drafting.
I know. I don't have a problem getting to either guy. I think they're both elite plays. I mentioned the Cronenworth play, Ahmed Rosario here as
Dual
well.
position eligibility for
Shortstop.
him as well.
Yeah, it's a great mid tier.
Yep. Value, Michael Massey came up big last night. Had him in a handful of my lineups as well. Came up with the bases loaded in the 9th inning and delivered a 2 RBI knock. So that was pretty big. Again, Castillo, obviously a tough take, but 2,800 hitting third still. Kevin Biggio, I mean, listen, I know that Brendan in chat mentioned Nola at 9K is tempting. I think this is going to go either way because, again, Toronto has been a very disappointing team, but Nola really hasn't been all that good either. Kevin Biggio hitting 5th at $2,600 makes it pretty easy to get to like Vladdy and that crew here tonight. So if you want to be contrarian, Toronto, you can get there tonight.
Yeah, no one's playing them. Only 4.2 implied runs, and that has a large part to do with it.
They moved the walls in. It was supposed to be a better hitter's park, and like they're just not playing, so.
Yeah, I mean they just haven't been good. Like, and losing Bichette obviously plays a big part. I don't hate Biggio. You could also play him in the outfield if you wanted to. I will throw Pablo Reyes into the mix again. He's hitting 7th. We get the righty. 420 WOBA against left-handed pitching this year, and you've talked about it ad nauseum.
Yeah.
Like, Pablo Reyes is the hottest hitter on the planet, and you're like joking when you say it, and like I see your Boston fandom coming out when you say it as well.
I'm gonna read you some stats because someone, a guy that I follow that tweets a lot about the Red Sox, had Pablo Reyes on the season 40 games, hitting 320. He's got a 778 OPS. He's got a 109 OPS plus. He's only got 13 strikeouts and 7 walks. Like, the guy just does not. He's just doing the damn thing right now. So
yeah, I'm not trying to disrespect. By the way, I'm not trying to disrespect. I'm just messing with you more than
sure.
I am.
Ryan's finally fading Nola, so he'll put him down for 30 plus. I mean, I hope not, because I told you I'm probably going to play some Toronto tonight just to be different. There's no reason when you're playing these GPPs not to just take shots on low rostered teams that can have high offensive output. So, Toronto for me feels that way. Unless no one's playing Texas again, then I'll just go back to playing the Rangers. Like, I don't mind doing that. So, talk to me. Where else? Anybody else in second base for you?
I don't dislike Caballero at 2,100 if you need like a punt, but that's just like Seattle in general. Like, I could get to pretty much anyone in there.
Okay. Moving on over to third base again, top loaded. Riley, Devers, Machado. Great, Mark. Appreciate you. Right, Toronto's cool if you like 2 total team runs. Not tonight. We're going over. Riley, Devers, Machado here. I love Candelario every night, all night, so that's fine by me. Morel's hitting 6th because he continues to move up and around their batting order. So if you want to go there against Clevenger tonight, you certainly can. And then you highlighted Duran hitting 6th tonight against Detmers.
Yeah, so like obviously you can get to Austin Riley. Randy Vasquez has been surprisingly good for the Yankees, but obviously Atlanta's always in play. You can always get to Atlanta whenever, wherever they are. Devers hits lefties extremely well. I'm perfectly fine with that. The Candelario play is interesting because Clevenger has been so bad against left-handed bats. There's the wind factor again. If you guys missed the beginning of the show and haven't seen why this game has an 11 over under and why the Cubs are nearly at 6 implied runs, it's because there's winds from 10 miles an hour to start blowing out by 15 plus by the end of the game. So, or the middle to later innings. So, there's a lot of when there's wind in Wrigley, it's a big deal. Candelario, we know, has hit righties extremely well all season long. And the Cubs do actually have 6 implied runs. I said almost 6. It's 6 now. 249 ISO for Candelario, 390 WOBA against right-handed bats or right-handed pitching. Mike Clevenger, 216 ISO allowed to lefties. So specifically, I want the lefties. I'm not playing Christopher Morel, and that might bite me in the ass later. He's just been in one of those, like, I suddenly can't hit the
Yeah,
baseball
he's
funks
being
again.
Christopher Morel is what he's doing.
Yeah, he just goes through these like, and you know what? Like, if it bites me because he's the part of the Cub stack I needed, it's my fault. But
I mean, the fact that
he's
he's
not.
always liable to go for a home run, he's in the middle
I
of that
know
lineup. It's just
in
like 3-run
tournaments.
shot
Yeah.
incoming, almost, on the
Yep.
way. So, if you are playing Cubs, I get it. You want to play the other outfielders like Happ and Talkman or whatever tonight, for sure. Understand to get him in there with Bellinger and that crew, but outside of Bellinger, I don't think anybody has more power than Morel in that lineup.
No.
So,
No.
that's something to at least take into consideration. Value third baseman, Taylor Hernandez, whomever's in the lineup there, both of them against lefty, against Miley, feel pretty good. I personally like Moustakis against Gray, while you said the field's getting to Gray here this evening. Could go there as well. Anybody else for you?
Yeah, Josh Rojas, $3,100. Homered yesterday. He's actually been pretty good. His last 4 starts, 9+ DraftKings points, 3,100. He is a 20 stolen base guy if he plays every day. I mean, at least he has been when he's been healthy.
I
He's
think
had a
he had
terrible year.
15 home runs a few years ago too, didn't he? Like
Yep.
get a little pop.
Yeah, he's had a very solid career when healthy. Change of scenery seems to be doing him. Yeah, seems to be doing him well. Again, 9+ DraftKings points in 4 straight starts, including 16, 14, and 10. So little signs of life out of Rojas.
Which is great because my FSGA team, he was like one of the last picks I made. So need him to be active and playing. Good to see him doing it. So let's move on over to shortstop then. Seager against Detmers. Again, do not be afraid about the lefty-lefty matchup. Seager hits lefties and Detmers hits lefties. So can certainly go there. Witt against Castillo. Again, I'm big on Witt. I took the more than 8 fantasy points for him earlier today during our pick'em segment. So I like that for them. Mark mentioning Moncada hot lately. I don't really play a lot of White Sox. Do you play Moncada tonight?
It's a tough dilemma, right? Because a lot of the field's getting to the White Sox, and it's a really good environment. Mark is correct. He has had 4 multi-hit games over his last 5. He's hitting 4th, and the White Sox are like clearly value, right? Like their second best offensive player in Eli Jimenez is $3,600.
Right.
Like the only person you have to spend up on is Luis Robert.
Right.
So
Moncada will fit stacks, like Mark says. If I'm playing Robert, Luis, it feels decent. I agree.
Yeah, the middle of that lineup. It's the middle of their lineup is perfectly fine. Like Benintendi's getting a lot of ownership. You know how I feel about that. Yeah. It's like it feels like a 0 to me, but if the White Sox are really, really cheap in a wind game, right? So anything is possible. That's what Kevin Garnett talks.
Anything is possible indeed. You mentioned Trevor Story already. Xander's at 44, which feels pretty cheap for him. I know he's been heating up a little bit. We talked Rosario. Arcia is obviously always a strong play here. Where else do we want to go this evening? Where's Nicky Lopez at these days? Where do they got him playing? Second in outfield. He's $2,800. So you could go there at second base if you wanted to as well. Any other shortstops for you?
You said Bobby Witt.
I mentioned them both at the top. Witt. If you had to pick one, Seager or Witt?
Seager. But I like again. I'm not putting anything past Bobby Witt.
The road split. The road splits for Castillo here. 3.75 ERA on the road this year. So
sure, and Bobby Witt's the hottest hitter on the planet. Like this has been an insane stretch for Bobby Witt. Like over the last, since the break, really, he's been a different player. So question about Bobby Witt too. Cunha or Bobby Witt, John?
The Uber J in here. It's probably Acuna against Velasquez here, right? It's just the Vasquez rather. It's just feels like the better matchup to take advantage of. But I mean,
this is a Spider-Man meme. They're just the same. Like, dude,
he's been so good. It's just that the Braves lineup is a game changer, right? Like that lineup in general is so good that, it just puts Acuna in really good spots to either drive in runs or score runs. And of course, he can do it himself. The Royals are hot right now, but like on a whole, the guys around Bobby Witt, Michael Garcia leads off him, Michael Massey hits behind him. It's not great. Yeah, Ryan here, even though my Royals are trash, Bobby Witt Jr. is him. I agree. I 100% agree. Bobby Witt Jr. Next year's redraft is going to be hilarious when you have like
he's got Acuna. Wait, the question right here is number 1 and number 2
well,
draft.
Otani probably goes 1 or
Otani. That's true. That's
right.
Fair.
The
Ohtani.
hitter version of Otani goes 1 or 2, and then Acuna goes 1 or 2, and then Witt goes 3 or 4, and then Carroll goes 3 or 4, and there's just it's gonna be wild to see redraft here. I love Bobby Witt. I have to lean Acuna though, but there's also a big price difference. Well, what's the FanDuel price difference? I guess DraftKings there's a big price difference. I don't know what the price difference is on FanDuel Uber. I'll pull it up right now and give you a little look-see here. So we're about to jump on over to the outfield position anyways.
Acuna is 4,800 and Witt is
almost $1,000
$39. Yeah.
So it's kind of a similar DraftKings to FanDuel then.
It's Acuna, like if Luis Castillo is on, it's Ronald Acuna by a pretty big.
I don't see Vasquez shutting down Atlanta. I could see a scenario where Castillo shuts down Casey. So go Acuna tonight if you can fit him in. Agreed. I think that's where I would go. So that's a good transition to the outfield here, where Ronald Acuna is $6,600. He's leading off against Vasquez here. Another great night for him last night. 2 for 5, 2 runs and a home run. There was enough value. We were talking about it. I think the example lineup we might have played had the Seager with the Brave stack in it. So, Acuna and Seager were in a lot of my lineups. If I can make it work tonight, I'll figure it out. There's a lot more value pitching. Hats off to you with the Dakota Hudson play. That one came through for us. Little came through for us. So enough value to get these top end bats. I don't know outside of playing great tonight if the value exists, but again, Acuna, Betts, Otani, all of them really, really strong options tonight. And you've mentioned Bellinger's the cover of the playbook.
Just side tangent. John Christian Walker just had another
home run for Christian Walker.
Who
has?
Yeah, I mean there. Yeah, that is a good point. I don't know, someone
better than someone higher in the standings than me. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm okay getting to pretty much any name up here. I would say above like 5K if I was just like condensing my player pool. Like Acuna's right there. Soto, I've mentioned my infatuation with him tonight against Dean Kramer, who struggles against left-handed bats specifically. Bellinger's the cover of the playbook. Julio Rodriguez, this J-Rod season, especially since moving into the leadoff spot, he's been fantastic. And he's doing a little bit of everything: power, speed, driving in runs, scoring them.
This is going to be a year where, at the end of the year, we're going to look at Julio Rodriguez like, oh man, he had a really good season, and not realizing that he was really bad for half the year. But this batting average might get up to 280 with 25 bombs and 35 stolen bases. You're like, oh yeah, Julio Rodriguez paid off his ADP, and it's like, not really.
Yep,
not really.
No. You should, especially in an auction when you spend 70 on him.
Definitely didn't.
Luis Robert as well in that small. So I'm okay getting to Betts and Otani and Judge as one-offs and stuff, but I mean, it's hard for me to play those guys over the Acuñas and Sotos and Bellingers and J-Rods and Luis Roberts.
Sure. The Prince wants to know our favorite values and pitchers for FanDuel.
Well, let's circle back. Let's circle back and let's finish outfield and then circle back.
Yeah, I was saying we'll come across some value outfielders we'll play tonight for sure here. Are you playing against Paxton or would you rather play Paxton? Because we know
I would rather play.
Okay. I mean, Lane Thomas is here, 4,800. Good back.
Yeah, fine as a one-off. And Stone Garrett exists, right? There's a couple Washington plays I use.
Kybert's been really good lately,
Yeah, I would probably side with using Paxton.
To me, it's funny that the only player they lost from that lineup is Candelario, but I look at them completely differently because of how good Candelario is. He just brought together all of my stacks so nicely at $3,800 every time. Whit Merrifield's a GOAT, can play him. Harris, where I'm at with that, hitting second.
Wait, can we? So I want to pause you there. Do you any guess at what his FanDuel price is?
Who?
Michael Harris.
Is it high or low?
Just take a guess. Like, just guess what his FanDuel price would be. If I'm stopping you, what do you think? It's either going to be
Well,
really
that's what I'm
high or
saying.
really
It's either
low.
really high or really low.
Take a stab. Take a stab.
2,700.
Yeah, 2,900, dude. There's one of your answers to Prince. I'll just stop you right there. That is one of the favorite values. Like Michael Harris at 2,900 is incredibly.
The only Brave I didn't play last night was Marcell Ozuna. He homered.
I don't know if you saw that. Do you see the John Boy clip where Marcell Ozuna was walking up to the plate and he's just like, I smell a 3-run home run coming here. And then it was first pitch, and they didn't say anything for like the next 30 seconds. It was so sad as a fan.
Well, as somebody that has Marcell Ozuna on their desperately needed roto team, I was happy to see it. You play Ozuna if he's starting to heat up. I mean, literally starting to heat up. Hits in what is this like 10? This is like a 10-game hit streak going right now. I mean, 13 games, 13-game hit streak for Marcell Ozuna. So ride the wave while you can. I know you like Hap tonight. Jason Jackson on FanDuel wants to know $3,300 fits for Hap. We're in on the Cubbies.
Yep, in on the Cubbies. Yeah, the win again. There's win. They have a 6. You don't see games like outside of cores and like against like really, unless they're really bad pitchers, where teams have implied runs of 6.3, which the Cubs have now.
We've again kind of hit like a tier of outfield where like we love the middle guys. Duvall's here, right? Hap is here. Ozuna, Harris, Merrifield, all those guys are pretty interesting to me. And then you can go down even a little bit further. Rosario has been playing well. Tauchman, Teoscar had a big night last night. I know he usually does it against lefties, but he came through. Leotes gets Detmers here. So, I mean, there's a lot of good. Cade Marlowe hitting 6th tonight at 3,400 feels really good. So there's a ton of value on DraftKings once again in the outfield tonight.
Every single name you mentioned, I'm in on, and I'll just add on, just make the decisions even harder. Sure. Robbie Grossman, $2,900. Stone Garrett, we mentioned, crushes lefties, 29. Rob Refsnyder leading off, 29. Like there is no shortage of outfield value, and that kind of does like bring it back to like I can really afford anybody I want tonight, and that's why there is a lot of ownership going to Snell, Gossman, and why I think you'll see double spend ups at pitcher. And I didn't even mention MJ Melendez, who
3 hits last night
on the screen right now. Another 3. Yeah, so like no shortage of outfield value. And that's kind of, favorite 2 FanDuel values and pitcher back to Prince's question. I'm not fading Michael Harris at 2,900. I'll say that. Yeah. That's my number 1 value. Number 2 is probably pick your Mariner for me. Because the Cubs are expensive everywhere on FanDuel, or I would obviously just go to the Cubs. Like you just mentioned Teoscar, he's $2,600 on FanDuel. I really like that.
And Duvall's $3K on FanDuel. Like that's
Duvall's $3K on FanDuel. Trevor Story is $3,200 on FanDuel. I think that's a great price tag. He's my, he might be in the next segment on our Call of Fame segment. He might show up for me once or twice. Pitcher though. Trevor. This is where
a lot of expensive guys for pitching.
Yeah. So FanDuel ownership, and I don't know if this is going to talk you in or out on anyone. Blake Snell is going to be the most popular guy again. 2Xing the field, Blake Snell. Then it goes Morton, Gossman, Nola. And I think the discrepancy is because they don't have 6,900 John Gray to play over there. Like they don't have that like clear-cut value option. In my
Gray
opinion.
is 86, so like that's fairly cheap for FanDuel.
Sure, it's just not. But it's just not. Sure. It's not as nice as DraftKings price.
Correct. Morton 91, Nola 93, over on FanDuel. So,
who's your favorite? If you had to pick a FanDuel pitcher, just to finish off the question to Prince.
Yeah, I guess it's Morton.
Probably Morton, right? 9,100 is a good price on FanDuel.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, we got a couple minutes left in the show. Again, we appreciate everybody who is tuning in. Let's go to the Call of Fame. Give me your home run call of the night.
I just spoiled it. Trevor Story going yard tonight.
Trevor Story going Yabo. I'm gonna run with. Yeah, let's go Seager. Let's keep the Seager run going.
Go.
We're in.
Let's go.
Give me stack of the night.
So this is a tough question for me because I think the Cubs.
Well, just give me your favorite stack then. What's your favorite stack tonight?
My favorite stack, because they're coming in lower owned, is going to be the Red Sox. I think the Red Sox are in a really good spot.
That works. My favorite stack tonight, I'm just going to go back to Atlanta. They're just too good to not play. Contrarian wise, I'll go, Toronto and Texas if no one's there, but I'll play KC tonight as well for value.
Yeah, no one's playing Toronto, no one's playing KC. Texas, middle of the road, so you're still going to get a low-owned Texas stack. I want to say value stack is Seattle or Chicago White Sox, but they're both so highly owned. Like, I'll say you
can play the chalk value and pair them up with like the Rangers or something like that.
Yeah, with Texas, right? Or the Red Sox, because the Red Sox aren't really that popular either. I'm going to say the Mariners. They provide, other than Julio, you said it, like they provide incredible.
Yeah, for sure. What's your value play tonight?
DraftKings, John Gray, FanDuel, Michael Harris.
Okay. For me, let's see. Where do I want to go for value? I was kind of looking in the outfield as well. I'm gonna go Cade Marlowe. Cade Marlowe for my value play.
I do. The Mariners are a great. They're in such a
$3,400 in the middle of their lineup. Let's go Cade Marlowe for my value play. All right, 4 minutes left. Let's build a lineup, sir.
Yeah, Brendan, we mentioned Josh Rojas. We talked about him. I like Josh Rojas.
Yeah.
I like all the Mariners are honestly blank from Mariners is cheap. You could have said.
Yeah. Ad-lib.
Other than
Mad libs, right? Fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
How are we approaching pitching?
So I think Gossman is better for us at lower ownership. Blake Snell's still coming in, just looking at the updated ownership. Still Blake Snell and then the field, kind of. So maybe you're a contrarian, so let's go Gossman. I mean, not that Gossman is like that far less owned than Snell, but he is.
I don't really feel good about an SV2 unless we're double spending, but I feel like if they'll get the lineup we want tonight, we probably need Paxton. I don't want to play Grant. I don't want to play
Morton. 85.
Sure, a little bit more expensive, but we can live with it. All right, catcher Garver.
Yep.
First base.
So let's plug our
value. I guess. Let's go value. We like Harris, right? Mid tier.
Yeah.
Who's your top guy? Was it Julio? Was it Seager? Olsen? Where did you want to?
Top guy. I mean, I want Bellinger. I want Story. Those would be the two guys that I want.
Let's go Story at second. I guess we probably have to play Reyes, right? 32.
Play Reyes. Yep.
We'll go Marlowe. Hap, you think?
Go
Hap or Tauchman?
I was gonna say it's Hap, Tauchman, or Ref Snyder.
What do you like better?
Ref Snyder provides obviously the most dollars if we needed.
Third base will only be $3,400.
I mean, you could play with Josh Rojas, who was just mentioned. And
you could do Moncada for in on that.
Yeah, I'm okay. The Javier Assad thing is interesting, John. I know we only have like a few minutes left, but when you look at Javier Assad and you look at his splits versus as a starter versus a reliever, things are really scary, and that's why I get why people are getting to the White Sox. So as a starter this year, Javier Assad has pitched well via his numbers, but peripherally, they're scary. 220 BABIP, 605 FIP, 559 xFIP. You talked about it. He doesn't strike people out. 14% strikeout rate as a starter.
Yeah.
1.98 home runs per 9. When you're giving up 1.98 home runs per 9 innings, and it's a small sample, when you're getting lucky batted ball luck, your xFIP and your all that stuff is just suggesting bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to suddenly get any good luck coming your way when there's wind blowing out. I know he's been a high ground baller, but it is interesting, and that's why the White Sox are like kind of an interesting stack. So if you want to go Mancada, I think it works. But
Sure.
I prefer the Seattle side, but the White Sox do make for an interesting.
That's fine. I'm good with it if you're good with it. Again, you're on the playbook. It's out today. If you haven't yet already signed up for the Fantasy Alarm All-Pro package, go to www.fantasyalarm.com/win. Sign up today. Get a 7-day free trial. Get access to all of our premium content on site. Get access to our fantasy football draft guide and fantasy football cheat sheet for free when you become an All-Pro member as well. James and I will be back tomorrow. Catch us on Twitter. Catch us on Discord. And we will catch you all later. Good luck tonight.